Hello, my name is Clayton, and welcome to another episode of the Watch Dog Podcast. I'm a professional dog runner and watch enthusiast talking to his pals about dogs and watches. Thank you so much for listening. You know I appreciate it. I hope you are all doing well. If you are into podcasts hosted by one guy who's very inconsistent with his episodes, this is a show for you. Yeah, I know. I was on a really good string of consecutive weeks doing an episode and then fell off the cliff. It was a busy month in terms of work and then races. I think there were 5 out of 6 weekends there where I paced either a marathon or a half marathon on a Saturday or Sunday. So just burn the candle at both ends. No excuse, but that's probably the reason why you haven't gotten one in a little over a month. Racing season is over now. I am going to train for a marathon that's coming up in June in Duluth, Minnesota, and I'm hoping I'm going to be 47 at the time of that race, but I'm hoping to get between a 3:20 and a 3:30, so that means long runs on the weekend, but, I can kind of do it close to home. It won't be the time commitment of pacing a race. So long story short, yes, hoping now we get on a regular string of episodes once again here. Thank you for sticking with me. I heard from some of you wellness checks, hadn't heard from me in a long time. Reached out on Instagram to see if I was okay. Oh, that means a lot. And also kind of makes me sad. Like, oh, damn it. I fell off the wagon again, doing regular episodes. I've just been burnt out. You know what I did the other day, which I don't think I've done in the 7 years I've been into the hobby. I did not wear a watch. It was a Thursday, too. It wasn't like it was a Saturday or Sunday where I had nothing to do. I am heavily reliant on a digital watch, a G-Shock, for work. I time my dog runs, my groups out at a farm that I rent. If you don't know what I do for a living, I have a dog excursion business, and I take dogs out to a fenced-in property, and we play off-leash. I time that with my G-Shocks, with the stopwatch and timer function. I left the house. I didn't even realize it right away. I went to look at my watch as I was driving, and I said, oh, shit. I forgot a watch. Oh, man, that never happens. I got home about 4:30. It was a very active day, and I kind of just stayed on the couch. I didn't even put a nice watch on after work. I don't know if that means I'm burned out on the hobby or just burned out on life. That's probably the latter there is probably the right one. But, oh, man, what kind of watch enthusiast am I? I did not wear a watch on a weekday for probably the first time since I've been in the hobby. So has that ever happened to you? You either forget or you just don't have the will to put one on. Now, I know some of you work from home and you don't even wear watches when you work from home because what's the point, right? You're not really doing anything. You're not going anywhere. I feel naked without a watch. Even if I'm lazing on a rainy Saturday morning like I am now, wearing a watch. I just like to wear them. But yeah, I know all of you are different, but have you ever, if you are used to wearing a watch on a regular basis, have you ever left the house and looked at your wrist and said, oh no, I forgot one? Or you've just been so burned out and tired that you didn't have the energy to go to your watch box and put something on, maybe halfway through the day or something. Yeah, let me know. That's a little alarming. What's going on with me? I don't know. All right, so I'm not sure how long this episode is going to be because it's my first one back in a month or so, a little over a month. You get rusty pretty fast. We haven't been doing Watch Soup regularly either. Bobby is equally as burned out as I am lately. So, we've just been slacking. The holidays are coming now. Work's a little lighter for me, people going on vacation, especially as we get closer to Christmas and everything. So hopefully I will be a little rejuvenated, actually taking Thanksgiving week off for the most part as well. So yeah, just need to recharge the batteries a little bit, and we'll be back with Watch Soup, and hopefully the Watchdog podcast will be back as well. So yeah, this is going to be a little bit of a shorter episode, re-entry into recording podcasts. But I always do a Thanksgiving episode when I am regularly recording around Thanksgiving, that is. So I thought I would do something today. Watch features I am thankful for. And I want to hear from you as well. What are your watch features that you are thankful for? It can be movement, it can be complication, it can be bracelet, clasp, whatever. Things that you look for. And then when you don't have them, when you buy a watch and they're lacking, right? It makes you thankful that, oh boy, I'm glad I have my Rolex Submariner that gives me all the things this Dive Watch X is missing, right? Things we might take for granted until we wear a watch where they're not present, and then we miss them real fast. That's what I'm talking about today. Watch features we are thankful for. The first one for me, probably a little weird to say, but smooth edges on the case and the bracelet and the clasp. You get it on a lot of micro brand watches, and sorry, I pick on Omega a lot, but you get it on Omega too, or I certainly have anyway. Man, they don't necessarily cut you, but when you're running your finger along the lines of a watch that costs $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, it should not feel like a $200 micro brand. And I'm sorry, with Omega, that certainly happened. Oisin O'Malley made a big stink about it when the 3861 Speedmaster was released, but he wasn't lying. I had one of those and very disappointed. The clasp, it digs in. I like to wear my watches on the tight side, and if you do, you feel it. That's what makes me a little nervous about the new Planet Ocean that was released this past week. If you saw those, as my good friend Dirk, former guest of the podcast, pointed out, it looks like a Cybertruck with all the angles the case definitely does. Some people have pointed to maybe it's taking its cues from certain Grand Seiko releases as well. But that makes me nervous because Omega leaves some sharp case angles. And I don't know. I have to try that watch on, of course, but I like to wear it tighter, and that would make me nervous. So yeah, Rolex does it really well. It's crisp. The edges are crisp, but they're also smoothed out to the point where you don't feel them when you wear it. It's comfortable. My Breitling, same thing. The edges are crisp, clearly defined, but you don't feel it on wrist. And man, that's one of the reasons I think I've stayed away from micro brands after a certain point, because time and time again, it's like, man, you could shave your face with some of these clasps. I really can't pinpoint any one watch in particular, but man, I think like Zelos, the early Zelos models that I had, the clasp edges were really sharp. I mean, you could straight edge shave your face with those things, and some other brands as well. So yes, I really appreciate a smooth, comfortable watch, the edges of the clasp, bracelets, and case being nice and comfy. And here's one a lot of people mention in these type of discussions, and some people find it overrated, don't find it necessary at all. I am always thankful when a watch has a toolless micro adjust. Any type of micro adjust is fine, but especially if I can adjust it on the fly, even better, right? I swell up during the day, especially in the heat. I guess I have a high sodium diet because my wrist size fluctuates. My Oura ring just last night was super tight after I had salty dinner, right? I had turkey and with bacon bits mixed in, and it was a little salty. And in the evening, my Oura ring, it was really tough to slip it off. I could feel that it was tight. So the same thing happens with my wrist. So it's nice. Maybe just take it out a little bit on the clasp. And if I can do it without digging out a tool, that's even better. And it's just nice for people, I think, who aren't watch enthusiasts. I think watches need to be a little more user-friendly. And I guess this could go with anything. Cartier with a quick change strap to bracelet. You don't need a tool. It's pretty easy to do. Also with the Santos, if you have fingernails, you can take a link out, add a link in. It's just super convenient. And I think watches need to be a little more user-friendly. I don't mind pin and collar. As I've said before, I actually feel like it's a little more secure. But, screws. It's easier for somebody who doesn't have to schlep to the jewelry store when they want to change a bracelet. Maybe they don't know a lot about watches. They're afraid to touch it. Not everyone is like watch enthusiasts. Most regular people spend, $8,000 to $10,000 0 to 1 times on a watch, right? It doesn't really happen all that much. Not as much as it does for us. I mean, be honest. A lot of us do that many times per year, right? Most people I know who are casually into watches, 0 to 1 times. So yeah, let's make it a little more user-friendly in general. Quick release straps, as long as they're secure. I do worry about quick release straps coming undone when I'm wearing them out in the woods, hiking or something. I do worry about that a little bit, but ultimately it is just easier. It's easier, I'll tell you a quick story. I have a client who, he's, casually into watches. He bought a Hamilton Jazzmaster, like open heart watch at the airport, I believe in Sydney, Australia, earlier this year. He directly went from Sydney to Texas. He lives here in Rhode Island, but he went to Texas for a further work trip, and he had the bracelet, but he didn't like the way it was fitting, so he went to a mall and a little jewelry kiosk and had them size the bracelet. Now, this is a pin and collar bracelet, and he thought, okay, great, it fit well. He wore it for a while. He was walking around Boston with his wife a few weeks ago, and lo and behold, the Hamilton fell off his wrist onto the sidewalk in downtown Boston. Now, the watch took the fall pretty well. The movement seems to be running fine, not too scuffed up, but he let me know about it, and he said, oh man, I'm so disappointed. Do you know anywhere I can take this watch to have it resized? And I said, oh, I think I can take care of that for you. No need to go to a jewelry store. The watchmakers around here are dwindling. And I think the ones that are around are super busy. So I said, you know what, the pin and collar, I can do that for you as long as you have an extra collar. He did find the pin, but the collar is somewhere still in the streets in Boston. So he did have one extra link. He has a bigger wrist, so he didn't have a whole lot of links left over from the bracelet to begin with. And, I saw it, like, oh, easy fix. Made it secure. But then I noticed I just tested the other pins, and there was one more that was loose. They put the pin in, this kiosk in Texas, put the pin in, but they didn't put the collar back in. So that's why the watch fell apart on him. And it's so disappointing. So he actually has to go to the nearest Hamilton authorized dealer and get a new collar. I did not have one that fit that watch. But in the meantime, I put a leather strap on it for him, and he likes to wear it that way. But man, yeah, so even, some 19-year-old doofus at the kiosk in the jewelry store in Texas couldn't do it properly. So, man, how are people who are not enthusiasts supposed to be able to size these watches? So yes, I'm all for anything that's toolless, that's easy. I think it would get more people into watches. He's super intimidated, my client. He's super intimidated to change the bracelet and the strap on his watch. So yeah, let's make it a little easy for everyone to do. And hey, you might get a few more purchases and more people into watches that way. Another thing I'm thankful for, a thin watch. Now, Nomos, I think, proved with their Neomatic World Timer this year, you can have a complicated watch chock full of features and still keep it relatively thin. That watch is under 10 millimeters thin. You have certain dive watches that are very wearable, that go great distances underwater, further than you'll ever need to go, and they are thin. Now, Tudor does, I think the Black Bay 58 is a wonderfully thin watch. Now, of course, for the most part, Tudor is guilty of making their watches way too thick. I think they're getting better with the Metis certified Black Bay 41s, but oh gosh, the GMT, the original Black Bay Heritage models, slab-sided cases, very thick. Now, everybody likes a big chunky diver once in a while, but I don't think the Black Bay Pro GMT necessarily needs to be thick, chunky, slab-sided. Now, it wears better than it gets credit for, I think. I think a lot of the wearability issues have been overblown a hair. But yeah, I think overall we need to make watches thinner. The Submariner wears like a dream. Omega, the same thing. I think a lot of those coaxial movements that are getting long in the tooth now make their watches a little bit on the thick side. The aforementioned Planet Ocean reboot, the 4th generation that came out this week, a little more wearable. And the lug to lug is much shorter. So, I'm not sure how I feel about them. Also heavily polished, which isn't my favorite thing in the world, but I trying to reserve judgment until I see them in person. Really looking forward to it. Hoping to do it in the next couple of weeks. I would love to see one. But yeah, at least they thinned it down a little bit. And I think as Omega develops new movements and update to what's in their lineup right now, hopefully they hear the complaints and they make everything a little bit thinner. But yeah, that's always a knock on brands like Omega. So yeah, it's always nice to have a thin watch that will fit under the cuff. And weight in general is a big deal with watches. It often gets neglected. We focus on diameter, right? But weight is a big, big deal. And oftentimes thickness has a lot to do with that. And that leads me into my next thing I'm thankful for, titanium. I have the SNR, Seiko SNR 045, a spring drive powered dive watch, part of their LX line. That watch is very thick, 16 and a half, something like that, millimeters thick. But since it's made of titanium, a super lightweight material, I often forget I'm wearing it until I bump into something because it does stick out because it is so thick. But yeah, titanium makes these big chunky watches more wearable. I love the way they look, a little darker tone. I love the way Citizen does titanium with the Duratect. They're super titanium. I love the color of the material. Yeah, I'm just a big titanium fan. I think someday I could have a collection exclusively made up of titanium watches. I think that is a possibility. I guess it is nice to have one, big boy, heavy steel watch that makes a statement. I guess that's pretty cool to have in the collection. But overall, you know what? Lightweight comfort is what I'm into. As an active guy, it's nice to forget that you're wearing a watch. The other day, I forgot to wear a watch. But ideally, when I remember to wear a watch, it is nice to forget that you're wearing one. That's a compliment to the watch, I think. You're going about your business and you're not forced to think about the watch because your wrist hurts because it's so heavy, right? Titanium, I just absolutely love. Now, the bezel action isn't quite as good on a lot of titanium divers. The SNR is fine. But, for the most part, I think some people complain about bezel action on titanium. Doesn't bother me whatsoever. It does pick up scratches a little easier. I've done an episode way back in the archives about why titanium scratches. It is technically a harder material, but it does scratch easier than steel. That doesn't bother me. I love scratches. I'm going to do a whole episode, I think, on scratches coming up. I saw a Facebook post recently that was interesting about scratches and then the discussion that stemmed from that post. So I think one of these episodes here, I'm going to talk about scratches. I have strong opinions on it. Might be offensive to some people, but yeah, we'll table that anyway. But yeah, titanium watches to me are the best. I absolutely love them. Some people don't like it. Makes watches feel like a toy. I have a local friend here who loved the SNR, but he picked it up and he said, you know what? It feels like a toy to me. He's like, I don't know that I could wear this as much as I love this watch. He wanted to check it out for so long. And then I think maybe the titanium, kind of soured him on the watch a little bit, especially quartz titanium watches. The Citizen that I had feels like a toy. It's super light. It's a thin watch to begin with, 38 millimeter watch. So then you pop a, Eco Drive solar quartz movement into that. It's crazy light. It does feel like a cheap toy in a way. And if people kind of feel that way about titanium, they're less likely to spend big money on titanium watches. And especially if you pair it with a fabric strap or something like that. A friend of mine has a titanium Bertucci watch that he uses for target shooting. He goes to the gun club and shoots clay targets. He loves it, but it's, again, to a person who isn't into that, it feels like a cheap plastic toy. So yeah, I love titanium, but I understand why some people may not appreciate it. Another thing that I'm super thankful for with watches is a dive bezel. I guess you could just say something to fidget with, but especially a dive bezel, a traditional count up dive bezel, it's useful for me. I time a lot of things. Again, if I do wear a dive watch for work, I typically, of course, like I said, wear a digital watch like a G-Shock that I can time things with. But when I don't have that in its absence, I can use a dive bezel to do that. And I do it all the time. I wear my Shinola Lake Superior Monster for work. I time things. After work, I take my dogs on a hike. I time it. Even if I'm not too worried about time, I just like to see how long it takes. If my beagles are in sniffy beagle mode or not, if they're smelling everything, stop every 5 feet to smell. I like to see, today it took an hour 45. We can usually do it in an hour 30. Yeah, interesting. And then I forget about it. But to me, I like to have it. And dive bezel action. Like I said, fidget spinners. Sometimes I just sit there and spin my bezels. It's nervous energy that I harness that way. It makes me feel good, which is why I do like watches with great bezel action. I feel like I'm just constantly ragging on Omega. But, if I like this Seamaster, the S&P. I've owned 3 different versions. But you know what? It's just not fidget spinnery enough for me to justify owning that watch. And I know some people who have dive bezels. My friend Dirk says he never even turns his dive bezels. Couldn't care less. If he likes the way a watch looks and it's an S&P and it has scalloped edges instead of coin edges, he doesn't care. He'll never turn the bezel anyway, so he just wears it. I wish I was that way, but I'm not. I love just a buttery smooth bezel. Who has the best bezels? The Submariner. Obviously, it didn't resonate with me for a few different reasons, but bezel action certainly wasn't one of them. So good. It just feels world-class luxury. Man, it's so good. Tudor, probably a close second in bezel action, I think. 60 click for the most part. My wife and I have the Lagoon Blue BB54. There isn't a whole lot of purchase area, and that would be my one complaint about that bezel action. But in terms of just the way it feels, it feels so good. And they have that detent at 12 o'clock too. So if you're turning it, you can feel it go at 12 o'clock, which I think is pretty cool. If you're not looking and you're trying to get it right lined up at 12 o'clock again, you can just feel it click in a little bit. Now the SNR, Seiko has a different sort of bezel action compared to like Tudor and Rolex. I think it's not quite as clicky, but still feels good, just in a different way. And I certainly love turning the bezel on my SNR. I have my Lions watch, actually has a rotating bezel, the chronograph, the B01 Chronomat. That's pretty good. I wouldn't say it's great, but it's good enough. I definitely turn it. Trying to think offhand of other dive watches I've owned that had great bezel action. Really, I mean, Rolex and Tudor are right up there. I'd like to turn the bezel on the new Planet Ocean. The Planet Oceans I've tried do have pretty good bezel action. It's just the grip. For me, I don't think the action's great on the S&P outside of the grip, but it's just hard to, if your fingers are greasy or wet. I mean, a lot of bezels are hard, but that one in particular, the Seamaster, it's impossible with the edges. But you can't really do anything else because that's part of the look of that watch, right? That's what makes the Seamaster an icon, I think. You couldn't put a coin edge bezel on that. It just wouldn't look the same. I wouldn't like it. So I guess I vote for the scalloped edges, even if I will probably never own another Seamaster again because of them. So I guess another thing I'm thankful for is brands just trying different things, being quirky. I recently bought a Space One Jump Hour, the jumping hour watch. It looks like a spaceship. It even has a cockpit where you see the time. Is it the most legible watch in the world? No. But it does not look like anything else I have or have ever had in my collection. And a brand like Space One, it's been talked about on some other podcasts before. I think Mike from This Watch, That Watch just talked about it, and it's so true. They don't really have any normal offerings. They have 3 watches in their current lineup, and they're all out there. The Tellurium, which is a watch that I think's won a GPHG award. Really cool watch. I would love to own one someday. The Jumping Hour and then the World Timer. They're all oddball watches. A lot of brands like Jody's brand, Erebus, they have not really done anything earth shattering yet. I think they're trying to establish, and hopefully he will at some point. But again, he just came out with another pre-order for his HAQ version of the Ascent, I believe. They're pretty milquetoast, right? They're cool watches, and I'm sure they're fine. But the designs are pretty boring to me. So I am always grateful for a brand like Space One that is just, you know what? We're going for weird. That's our thing. And they all sell out. So it's worked for them, right? But, other brands are doing some quirky stuff now. Christopher Ward is going into that, whether you like them or not. They're going into the realm of being a little out there. They have enough sort of stock watches where they can satisfy the person who's looking for something a little more traditional, but then they just did the Belcanto Lumiere, right? Everyone's saying looks like a Tron watch with a bunch of lume on the dial. That's pretty cool. They did a Jump Hour watch a couple weeks ago. It seems like Jump Hour mania. Everybody's doing a Jump Hour these days, right? So I like that. In a time when the watch market's down, people are still experimenting. I was afraid everything was just going to be boring and dial color changes, and that's all we were going to get. But no, as of right now, anyway, we are getting experimentation, different complications. I love that. I'm really into Jump Hours. Again, not very legible, but you know what? Telling time is way down the list of things I like about watches. I can tell time with my phone. Watches are more of an expression of how I'm feeling or what I'm into. Art, jewelry, call it what you will, but that's more why I wear a watch. I might wear my Oura Ring or my Garmin for other things. That's more functional. A wristwatch does not really have to be all that functional for me to like it. Legibility is not that important, to be honest. I owned the Moser that had no indices whatsoever, the Endeavor, right? And I was okay with that. Setting it was the only time it was a little annoying was setting it. You kind of had to set it at the top of an hour, so and then you were still guesstimating, and you had to make sure the hour hand was lined up directly at the 12. It was sometimes kind of easy to do it at 12 to set it at midnight or noon, just a little bit easier to guesstimate. But even then, at the top of the hour hand might be a little crooked, like, damn it. But no, really, a watch does not have to be all that crazy legible. And when I do need legibility, I choose a G-Shock for work and that kind of thing, right? When I'm timing things, that needs to be legible. But I have watches for that. If I'm spending money on an expensive watch, I think it more has to be cool, different, a design that I'm super into, and of course, comfortable. Like I've said on Watch Soup, I said this weekend, actually, we were talking about watches that we're into. I tend to like the weirder stuff. Once it meets the criteria of wearing well and I actually like it, then I'll go for limited editions that maybe not everybody has. Like that kind of gets me going. I'm really excited about that kind of stuff. At a watch meetup, I'm always looking for the weird stuff. I've seen a Speedmaster before. I've seen a Submariner before. Very cool watches, but, seen them a bunch. But if somebody has something like the Space One Tellurium, oh, baby, that's what I'm drawn to. And that's kind of what I like to own in my collection. Something that not everybody sees every day. So trying to think, what else am I really, really thankful for? Oh, yeah, you, the listeners. Man, you put up with me taking these breaks, and I certainly appreciate it. Hoping to get on a good string of episodes here, be regular again. Hopefully at the beginning of the week, Monday, Tuesday is my target. And I really appreciate each and every one of you for sticking with me, for listening. Yep, you're going to get a little shorter episode this week. I know a lot of you are probably off this week or working maybe Monday and Tuesday. It's Thanksgiving in the United States. I know Canada celebrates theirs in October. I'm not sure about other countries. When do you celebrate Thanksgiving? Do you celebrate Thanksgiving? I would like to know. I know I have a lot of international listeners. So, hey, if you're from another country outside of Canada and the United States, let me know. Do you have a Thanksgiving, and when is it? All right. Well, good to be back with you. What watch features are you thankful for? when you wear a watch that has maybe sharp edges or something, oh God, I love wearing my Submariner because it doesn't have that. And you put a watch on instantly, it doesn't feel the same, and you can't wait to get the Submariner back on again. Sometimes we take these things for granted, right? What are the features that maybe you take for granted, but when you're wearing another watch that doesn't have them, it makes you thankful for them, right? Let me know. Shoot me a message on Instagram. I'm not very active posting on Instagram. I have not posted since the 4th of July, actually, but I lurk on there all the time. And of course, the second you send me a message, I try to respond because I appreciate it so much. You can shoot the podcast a text message. You will not hear back from me because I am unable to respond. It's not because I'm rude. I would if I could. But yeah, and also this gets released as a YouTube video. You can leave a comment on that as well, and I will be sure to respond as soon as I can. If you do live in the United States, I hope you have a happy and safe Thanksgiving with your friends and family. If you are traveling, please be careful. It's a crazy time to fly right now, so I hope all of your flights are on time. And if you're driving, yes, please be careful. Don't drink and drive. Don't overdo it this holiday season and then get behind the wheel. Uber, have a friend. So many safe ways to do it now. So please be careful. And I will talk to you on the next episode. And remember, sometimes you're the dog, sometimes you're the hydrant, but hey, at least you're outside. We'll catch you on the next episode of the Watch Dog Podcast. See you later.